morning, love. It's going to be a great day and a great week. I'm your host, Ariel Chanel. We are back with another episode. You know, it is my favorite time of the week. I say it every week. And we have our last guest with us for the Love series. February is wrapping up and it's been great. It's been awesome. I have to just say thank you and start with gratitude. Right off the bat, you know, we always start with gratitude. So I'm just going to say thank you to every single guest. I'm so grateful for everyone that said yes and was willing to come on and talk about their story and their journey. So Tiffany, David, Lorraine, thank you for coming on and being a part of Good Morning Love. It really did make this month something special, and I am so grateful for it. But not only am I grateful for all of the guests that came before, I'm grateful for people like the guests that we have here today. Something that I'm grateful for is for those that are in the generations to come, that are doing the thing, that are living their life bold, unapologetically, and just really taking this world by force. I know we are in good hands. A lot of times the world seems a little crazy and a little funky, and we don't know up from down and where it's going. But there are some amazing young minds that are coming up that aren't even really that young anymore, because to be honest, like that, yes, young adults, I'll say the young adults. I'm not going to be like how people do me and be like the young people. I unfortunately am not young anymore, and I admit it, and I own it. I own that I have aged out of that bracket. However, there are some amazing people that are coming up right behind, and I'm so blessed and honored to be able to introduce you all to one of them that is a trailblazer in so many different ways. She is an amazing young woman. I have had the privilege of knowing her now for about 10 years now. I've watched her go from when she was in high school to now being out of college and taking on the working world by storm. And so I want to introduce you all to Miss Christy Felix. So Christy, the floor is yours. Give them a little bit about who you are.
Yes. Hello. Thank you for watching. And thank you, Ariel, for inviting me to do this. This is the very first podcast I'm being a part of. I'm usually the ones watching. So it's really cool to be a part of one. My name is Christy Felix. I am a Gen Zer, but also low-key a millennial. I'm in the middle. I was born in 1998. Okay, so I feel like I'm right at the cusp. I'm both. I currently run my own business. I'm the founder and CEO of this business called You Hustle. You Hustle is a tech platform. It's an online marketplace for college students with side hustles. So bridging the gap between college students that provide goods and services like tutoring, that sells clothing lines, that DJ on the side, with consumers looking for them. Started that business in 2018 while I was a junior in college, graduated and doing it full time now. And, you know, being faithful, walking by faith, because it's hard. This is the hardest thing I've ever done, but I am so grateful. And yeah, that's about me. That's me.
Nice. So we're going to get into more about You Hustle a little bit later, but I want to back up and let's start with talking about young Christy. Let's go back to your journey of who was young Christy. If you could go back into like, what was childhood like for you?
Yeah, well, okay. Young Christy was always a mini adult. My mom always used to call me little mummy. I was a little adult, and I think I was just so excited to be grown up, and I kind of liked the responsibility. I kind of like being seen as like, you know, the more mature child. Young Christy liked to have fun, especially with her brother. I loved hanging out with my brother all the time, going like doing activities and things like that. So young Christy was all, you know, she was in the middle, like exactly how I said I was in the middle between being I'm Gen Z, but I'm also low-key a millennial. I feel like I was in the middle of being an adult, like a little kid. So I was always like really into preparing for my future. The minute I got to middle school, I already knew I wanted to go to this college. I wanted to do X, Y, and Z. I make 10-year plans. I was always like the one to take initiative, put my future first. I was always career motivated, future motivated, but also a huge part of myself that I didn't really talk about with my people my age, because it was kind of weird. I was saved young. I was saved, meaning I became Christian when I was like, oh, I don't even know. I was so young. When I started to like get to know God, I used to sleep with the Bible under my bed when I was like 6 or 7. I got baptized when I was 10 or 11. I became an ordained deacon when I was 16, I think, 15, 16. So I was always, I was always the church girl, because I had a personal relationship with God. Not just because I like church, because I had a personal relationship with God. So yeah, so I would say Christy was fun, yet very adult-ish, very like responsible. And she is and was very connected to her faith.
Nice. And that is true. That is one of the first things that I remember, because around the time we met, it was also around the time you got ordained. And I remember being like, man, like there's no way I could see, like, in high school, that's a thing. Like, you could do that. So when I talk about trailblazer, like, that's something that's trailblazing. Usually you have people who are like, even if you feel called to like do in the ministry, like stuff like that, like being able to actually be a deacon, like everyone knows what a deacon looks like. When you think about a typical deacon, it's not a 15, 16-year-old little girl. Like, that's not it. So to see, you and all of the others that got ordained at that time as a deacon, like, it was inspiring to me. Like, man, that's crazy. Like, they're just doing some really innovative things. So I can definitely speak to that it is true that you've been somebody who's like, nope, this is what I believe, this is what I'm down for, and you go and you do it. I want to talk a little bit about you, talking about you are somebody who had like 10-year plans, and you knew what school you wanted to go to, and you're a go-getter again. So like, you've achieved what you wanted to, and you were able to get into your school of choice, correct?
Yeah. So in middle school, I decided, you know what, I want to make sure that, because like growing up, I grew up in a low income home. I grew up with a single mom. I didn't want that for myself anymore. Middle school, my parents divorced in like elementary school. By the time I got to middle school and things starting to get rocky financially, our lights were coming off and stuff, and our car was having issues. I was like, I do not want this life long term. This is not me. And I knew my spirit, God made me too bougie. I used to watch TV shows and be like, is that the Chanel bag from from this fashion show? That was me. I like nice things. I like to feel nice. And so at middle school, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this, because I don't want to be in this situation anymore. I don't want my family to be in this situation anymore. I don't want us to be in this rotation of, okay, we're almost out. No, something happened. We got to go back to, something, and so I decided I'm going to make a plan. I'm going to take me and my family out. No more public housing, no more food stamps, none of that. So I decided this is what I'm going to do. So middle school, I said, I'm going to get into an Ivy League school, because if I get into an Ivy League school, I'm going to be everything. I'm going to go to an Ivy League school. I'm going to get an amazing job. I'm going to get a good starting salary, stay for 10 or 20 years. I'm going to retire. I made this plan. So that was middle school. So I had this plan in middle school. So all throughout high school, I volunteered a lot. I was in a lot of clubs. I was student body president, captain of the soccer team. I did everything that I thought, would get me into an Ivy League school. And then an opportunity came where I think it was around my sophomore year, maybe it was my freshman year, that they said that 4 students are going to be nominated to, it was 3 students were going to be nominated to this program at Harvard, so that they can take classes at Harvard and and get that experience, and they'll get paid for it too. And I was like, yes, if I get into this program, it's gonna fast track me into an Ivy League school, and I'm gonna be all set. I did not get into that program. I didn't get into that program. And when I say, I felt like this plan is oh my God, God doesn't want me to go to an Ivy League school. God doesn't want me to get into a good school. If I'm not good enough for this program, I'm not going to be good enough for this. It was freshman, sophomore year. I don't know why I was freaking out, but I was in my mind, this was part of the plan. This was a roadblock in the plan. If this is a roadblock in the plan is now like, I'm going to have to delay some things. I'm going to have to fast track. I'm going to have to make up for some things. I didn't get into the program, but the two other people that were nominated with me got in. You know how much it felt like rejection? Like, I'm the only one. I was waitlisted or something like that. But I was like, I'm the only one. I felt so much rejection. But that was when God started working on me, because I had this need to control. I had this need to like know everything that was going to happen before it happened. And that was the point where God was like, you think the way you do it is the right way? Let me show you. I'm going to get you there regardless of your plan. I don't care about your plan. I'm going to get you where I want you to go. So after I got rejected from that program, I still continued doing what I was doing before, volunteering, getting in clubs. But this time I decided I'm not only going to, get in a lot of clubs and volunteer, I'm going to start my own club. So that was my first taste of kind of like starting something new, starting something from the jump. And then I, got into a entrepreneurship program for low income kids. So I started, getting more into entrepreneurship. And then by senior year, I was the only one in my entire high school to get into an Ivy League, regardless of the plan, regardless of the plan. So I got into Cornell. I'm gonna be real. I didn't really want to go to Cornell. I said I wanted to get into an Ivy League, so God made it happen. I should have been more specific, but it's okay. It's okay. I didn't really want to go to Cornell because it was in the middle of nowhere. I'm hardcore city girl. I'm from Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'm from the city. I'm from the Boston area. I take the train everywhere. I walk everywhere. So for me, upstate New York in the cold, in the woods, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I got in, I went to Cornell, and I started experiencing some things. It was my first time experiencing depression. It was my first time experiencing anxiety. I didn't really connect to anyone there, and overall felt like I wasn't walking in my purpose. I wasn't being who God meant for me to be. I knew in my heart that this is not, and I was trying to explain that to people didn't get it. They thought, okay, you're just depressed, like you're gonna be fine. But I was like, no, this is not who I'm supposed to be. Like, I'm not supposed to be here, and I'm not supposed to be this person. And then sophomore year, first semester, I reached a breaking point. I was bawling my eyes out, called my mom, said, Mom, I hate it so much. I don't like it here. And some people don't understand because, I was on Dean's list. I was getting good grades. To the outside world, I seemed fine. She's successful. She's doing good, But internally, there was something not right. Come on, Mom. And mind you, this is a Haitian woman. And I said, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to get out of school. You know what she said? She said, I have never heard you like this ever in my life. You're scaring me. Do you want me to stop what I'm doing now and come drive now to pick you up?
Wow.
Haitian woman.
Yeah. Wow.
Haitian woman. Her daughter got into an Ivy League university. She posted it all over Facebook. Haitian woman. She didn't care. She did not care. She cared more about me as a person than whatever plan, she had for me, whatever plan I had for myself, what it looked like. She said, I've never heard you like this. You're scaring me. I will come get you right now. Do you want me to come? It was already 12 p.m. by the time I called. I wasn't going to make my mom drop everything to drive 8 hours up to upstate New York. My mom doesn't even like to drive. So the fact that she offered that's when I knew something was wrong. Like, I needed to check this issue. And so that's when I hung up on the phone. I said, no, it's okay. I'm gonna finish the semester. I hung up the phone and I started to pray, and I was crying, and I told God, I said, God, what do you want from me? Because whatever I want for myself, obviously it's not right. Whatever plan I put in my head, whatever plan I created, that's not right. I can't make the decisions here. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not wise enough. Whatever you want me to do, I will do it. The minute I prayed that prayer, a notification pops up on my phone to go to DC for the next semester. So getting off of campus and going to Washington, DC. I went to DC. I visited Georgetown, which is the school right there. I got into Georgetown. So the minute I kind of let go of all the plans, that planning Christy, that adult Christy, was the time that real Christy got to thrive. Yeah. I'm sorry, that was long.
No, don't apologize. That was perfect. That was perfect, because I love how you broke it down, how this was the plan and the way it was supposed to be, and the ABC step, and how God was like, that's cute. I like your little ABC. Now let me show you something real quick. So you ended up switching gears, and like you said, you were like, maybe I should have prayed a little more specific. That cracked me up, because that's me. Like, dang it, I should have actually prayed a little more specific on what I wanted, Lord. But then you now have to switch gears, because now you're at a new school. Now you're away from what you had in mind, and you're kind of starting over, essentially. What was that like for you in that process?
Honestly, I was just gonna go with the flow. I said the planning doesn't work out for me. I'm not good like at decision making for myself. And I think that's all people. It's not just me, but like if we think about it, all plans that we have for ourselves is not great enough for the plans that like God has for us. So I knew I'm not great at making decisions. Let me just go with the flow. God, you tell me what I should do when I should do it. But he was quick, because I thought I was gonna go with the flow for a couple semesters, maybe a semester, maybe a couple months, and chill out, make friends, hang out, be a college student. Because at Cornell, I was just so depressed. I wasn't really experiencing the college life. But I came to Georgetown. I was like, oh, let me experience it. I'm gonna have fun and hang out with friends, make friends. But the first class I took was a class, I forgot the name of the class, but it was like an intro class for all business students. I went to the undergraduate business school there called McDonough. And in the business school, they said, in that first class, they said, if you have an idea, you can pitch the idea to us and we'll give you $5,000. God planted an idea 4 semesters back when I was a freshman in my head. It's You Hustle. It was an idea that, because I was braiding hair in my dorm in order to make money for college. So every time I wanted to go out with my friends, okay, let me braid some hair. My birthday was coming up. I wanted to go to dinner. Let me braid some hair. So it was hard for me as a freshman to get people to find me. So I was like, it would be so cool if I could be on a website, not a website just for me, but a website with other people who do some services, so that they can just find me and pay on the site. So I don't need to worry about cash, whether or not they have the money, Venmo. And God planted that idea in my head as a freshman. Fast forward to a freshman year at Georgetown, and they said, if you have a good idea, you can win $5,000. And I was like, look at God. Because he planted that idea in my head as a freshman, and everyone was telling me, you're going to need hundreds of thousands of dollars to start this. You're not going to succeed at it. You need to be technical founder. You need to do this. You need to do that. And honestly, I don't see a lot of Black techies around me, Black founders. I don't see a lot of that. So when he gave me the idea, I kind of okay, let me start it. I'll write a business plan and let me share with people. But the people I was sharing it with, they didn't get it. They were like, college students do services for other college students? Is this a thing? Is it really a thing? And I was like, yeah, it's a thing. I did a survey, and 20% of college students have a side hustle. Yeah, it's a thing. But were they Black? But were the people that did the survey, were they all Black? And I was like, I didn't ask for their race, because they're like maybe they're all Black, maybe they're all poor or low income students. Maybe that's why so many. Because I never heard of them, mind you. These are people who came in with no scholarship, paid full price, full tuition, full room and board, have their parents sending them money every month. this is not the life that they live. So I spoke to a couple of those people, and when I pitched this idea in class, these students all said the same thing. Like, I never heard of this. I don't know any students that do anything. And it was so discouraging that I just put it on the back burner. And I was like, all right, well, I knew God planted it in my mind, because I felt like when I said it, I said it with my mouth, but I didn't hear my voice when I said it. I said it, but when I said it, it was like, it wasn't like I was hearing myself say it, but it just came out of me. Like, God planted it in me, and I said it out loud. So then fast forward, they say, who wants to pitch a business and stuff. And I said, you know what? I do. So I got there were only 4 Black people in the class, included me. I said, last time I remember what, these other rich kids said, they didn't get it. Let me get all the Black kids, because they're going to get it. Let me get all the kids of color. So I told them about that idea. They said, oh, wait, this is good. This is the first good feedback I ever got. And I was like, oh, wait, like, this will go crazy. Like, whoa, okay, yeah, no, we got to go for it. We got to do it. So I pitched the idea, and I won that $5,000. And I was like, God, the minute that I freeform and I don't plan anything, and I just go by what, like, this, I just go by like what the flow is. Like, I go by your flow. I go by what your plan is. You just provide. This is how it works. Like, I don't gotta do anything but just be obedient when it's time, and you gonna show up like that. All right, bet. So Georgetown was good. I was there for 2 years and then graduated. And through the 2 years, I did a bunch of pitch competitions similar to that one. I won $5,000, won $65,000 just in grants, just by telling them my idea.
Wow.
Just by telling them what I was gonna do. I said, this is the idea. So something that was rejected in this environment where I didn't even feel comfortable was something that was cultivated, and people put their blood, sweat, and tears into, just because I had this one seed. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. But something that was rejected is now being valued. And I'm like, but I felt like that was also me. So not just You Hustle was being rejected and not being valued, but I felt like I was being rejected and now I'm being valued. Like, they see me. Remember when I said in the beginning, I said, I don't feel like I'm who I'm supposed to be. Yeah. There, I felt like I was exactly who I was supposed to be, not what I was supposed to be doing, but who I was supposed to be. I was walking in my purpose there. So that was Georgetown. I was just like going with the flow, flowing. And then the pandemic hit. Graduated during the pandemic.
I want to talk to you about that, because being that you are Gen Z, right at the tail end of millennial, and coming in on this new thing, like, when I graduated, there was no such, what is Corona? What is COVID? Like, we had like bird flu and stuff like that. But to be able to graduate during this time and have to kind of pivot, what was that like for you, from your perspective? Because I know what working was like and how they were like, all right, shut it down, gotta go. But from your perspective, like, what was that time like for you?
To be real with you, I had this existential crisis during the pandemic, because everything that I was building, everything that I was working on, all of a sudden had to stop. Like I said before, I started a business for college students with side hustles on campus. There's no more campus. And I just won a pitch competition right before the pandemic I won $30,000. I had so many plans for this $30,000. And then I was talking to investors. I was in a competition to win $100,000, and everything would just stopped. Like, all the things that I was building momentum in, even my personal life, it just stopped. And I was like, I have no value, because I put my value in what I was doing and not in who I was. I felt like I had no value. I couldn't say I couldn't brag about how good in school I was doing. No one cared. We're in a pandemic. I couldn't brag about how good U Hustle was doing. U Hustle had to stop. We're in a pandemic. I couldn't brag about, oh, like, look at me. Like, I love to dress up. I like to look nice. I couldn't do the things that I enjoyed doing anymore. But again, like, I was putting all my identity in what I was doing and not who I was. I don't know if everyone did, but I know a lot of people, in my personal life, shaved their head. I shaved my head completely off during the pandemic. I was like, I gotta start fresh. Like, I gotta, for Black hair, I think Black women, we understand, but Black hair holds so much trauma sometimes and experiences, and it could hold sometimes what you think your value is. So when you think you have no value, and your hair is connected to all this trauma, it's kind of like you want to start fresh. I mean, for me, growing up, my hair was always something I felt bullied about. Like, my hair never grew past a certain length. It didn't have that nice texture that people wanted to see. Like, I just didn't. It held so much. And when you're already around, like, in the pandemic, and you're so sad and there's so much stuff going on, like, you just, like, I just want to remove some sadness. So I was just like, shave my head bald. But it was also made me feel like, oh, I get to love it from scratch. I'm gonna love it new. And this time, when I hear people's opinions about my hair, I'm gonna tell you about yourself. Because if you are anti-hair, my hair, then you're anti-Black hair. If you're anti-Black hair, you're anti-Black people. Don't be anti-Black people. You don't do that.
Yes.
So
not this here Black History Month. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
So I got to love my hair, but I was in this crisis where I was like, I have no value because I'm not doing anything. And if I'm not doing anything, then who am I? What purpose do I have in this world? If I'm not doing what I'm good at, I have no purpose. And so I gained weight a lot. I think we all did. It was a pandemic. We're just eating and sitting down. We couldn't walk. So I gained a lot of weight. I had my hair shaved off. I was in this crisis where I didn't value myself. So during the summer, I was like, okay, I'm going to try everything. I'm going to try to just be back and just be better than ever. So I'm going to exercise every day. I'm going to walk 5 miles a day or run. I'm going to work on my business 5 times as much. And I had to take summer classes. So I had to take 2 summer classes, and I'm going to take these 2 summer classes. I'm going to be good at everything. Again, putting my value back into what I was doing. And I was doing a lot. And God told me multiple times, he said, no, you need to rest. And I was like, my value is low right now. I don't look good. I'm not doing anything. No, my value. So he's like, no, you need to rest. I wasn't resting. So legit, as I'm walking on one of my 3-mile walks, I get hit by a car. I can laugh about it now though. I get hit by a car. And the minute I get hit by a car, I passed out for a little. I got up and I was like, did I really just get hit by a car? Like, this only happens in movies. You see, like, I really got hit. I got hit by a car. So I got hit by a car. And when I wake up, I crawl to the sidewalk and I find my phone, and I'm like, I need to call my phone, because in my mind, like, I realized I got hit by a car after like a while. I thought someone pushed me with their hands on the street. I was going to call my mom, tell my mom, someone just pushed me on the street. Like, but then I look at because the guy who was driving, he was yelling, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, chill out. Like, what's going on? I look at his windshield. His windshield is cracked, like, done. And I'm like, dang, I really did get hit by a car. So I go on Snapchat like a Gen Zer, and I'm like, I go on Snapchat like a Gen Zer, and I send my cousin a snap. I said, I really just got hit by a car. I sent my cousin a snap, and I'm like, I was in so much shock. I didn't feel anything. It was my skull that cracked the windshield. Didn't feel a thing. I was so hyped up on adrenaline, bro. Like, I was just, I didn't feel anything. And then I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I got hit by a car. She's like, what? You got hit by a car? I said, yeah, I got hit by a car. Come. I was legit down the street from the house. So she drove and she came and she said the same thing. She said, you really got hit by a car? I said, I got. And the police came, ambulance came, and they were asking me dumb questions like, oh, did you look both ways? Did you want to get hit by a car? And I'm like, brother, no. Like, I was on my 3-mile walk and I have class after this. I need to, my plan. I got back to the plan. So my mom was there and she's over here telling me, oh, you should go get checked out of the hospital. I said, no, I just want to go home and take a nap because I have a class. I need to take a nap and then I'll be fine. I was like, nope, you need to go to the hospital. She put me in the ambulance and she was like, so I was fine. But through that pandemic, that was the first year, that was 2020. God was trying to tell me that like my value wasn't in what I was doing. It was in who I am. That's purpose. People think purpose is, oh, I am a baker. That is my purpose, to bake. But then God might do something where you can no longer use your hands and you lose all sights of your purpose. Your purpose wasn't in baking, because if that was the case, God will make us all look the same, all be the same. Our minds will be the same because we would need to use our body to do what he wanted us to do. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is in who we are. And I put so much of my purpose in what I was doing. And he made me get hit by a car and they told me, you can't look at screens because you have a bad concussion. So I couldn't do school. I was in my last week, so I did the paper, but I couldn't do school the way I wanted to. But especially, I couldn't do my business. I couldn't work on my business. My eyes will twitch if I was looking at screens too much. I had post-concussion syndrome because I didn't rest enough. And God was legit telling me, like, you need to rest. And because I didn't rest, I'm not saying he made me get hit by a car, but he allowed me to experience what it was like not to rest. So and then I was crying so much because I was like, oh my God, I don't know my purpose. And God legit was like, you need to know me. That's when I was set apart from everything I thought I was doing. He said, you need to know me. So when I figured out the first lesson was my purpose is not in what I was doing, it's who I am. I needed to figure out the second lesson, which is who was I? I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was put on earth for. And that journey led me to getting deeper. Again, I was always raised in the church, but this time it was like getting to know God deeper, not just as God who created the universe as someone so distant, but as my personal father. I need to get to know him. And that was my journey through the pandemic. I wasn't even working my business. I took a year-long pause on my business. I didn't touch it for a year. Because I really needed to get to know him. He wanted me to get to know him. And I really needed to get to know him too. And then even when I tried to start again in 2021, like, okay, I took a year-long break. Let me get back to it. He said, nah, you're doing too much rest still. I was annoyed, but I was like, okay, God, I know you better now. So I got you. But that was my, forgive me for saying this. I know the pandemic came with a lot of grief, but one good thing that came out of the few good things that came out of the pandemic was us taking the time to love each other and to be with one another and realize that like we need to put more time into our personal and our mental health rather than just go. Like that was one of the few good things that came out of it. And for me, it was like I got to know myself and God so much deeper because there was like a pause in the world where I didn't need to go because the whole world is on stop. So I could stop. So that was the journey. It was really like finding myself through God and through like my own character, because I had a lot of character development to do, and I'm so glad that I did it. But because of that, and I'm gonna say this for everybody too, your purpose is not in what you do, it's in who you are. And who we are is like we're valuable. We are beings put on this earth in order to impact, in order to help. And we don't need to have the best singing abilities. We don't need to have the best throwing abilities, sports abilities, or whatever in order to do that. Just us being ourselves should be a representative of God. Just me, just chilling and hanging out with my friends, that should alone be. So I need to work on that person. Who am I when I'm not on? Who am I when I'm off?
Yeah. Wow. That's really good. Like, that is, I had a question that I was like, oh, I'll go here afterwards, but everything that you said really has like summed it up so beautiful, that our purpose isn't what we do, it's who we are.
Yeah.
And our being here on this earth. And like you said, everybody has a purpose, because that's why we're here. Like,
Yeah.
we're here, our being here. I don't know if you've seen the movie Soul.
Yes.
And like I cried.
Me too.
Full tears when that movie came out, because I was in that place as well. Like, and so even listening to you, it all resonates with me, because I've always felt like our journeys are very similar in a lot of different ways. We've talked about it a lot of different times, and how much our journeys are just so crazy similar, with the different things that God has us do. And, you know, the same thing of like, we have a plan and this is the way life is supposed to go. And, you know, it's going to be like this. And God's like, no. And then we're like, okay, so then it's going to be like this. And it's like, no, like, that's not how it works. And so watching that movie, it was that same thing, like that, because that was him. Like, I'm going to become this great musician, and I'm going to get to play at this show, and then so when he finally got there and was like, okay, so like, we're here, like, you know, I did it, I made it, all this stuff that I fought to get to, because I had to stick to this plan. Now I get here and I played, so what's next? And the lady's like, we do it again. Like, we come back. And when you realize, like, wait, so there's still something missing? And when it finally dawned on him, like, no, like, you know, once he went back and like realized, like, no, that's not, you got it all wrong. Like, purpose, you got it all wrong. And to watch and to see, like, just our mere existence and just us being here and walking through life and living life and enjoying life, like, in our being, things change. And in our being, things happen. Like, that's it. And so just be, like, just be, just exist, just enjoy, love on people, love yourself. Like, and in that, you'll find that there's so much more, like, that comes from us just being. And like, once we really get that down, and I know for some people out there, you might be like, Ariel, like, how? Christy, how? It's hard. It's hard for me. I go back and forth still. When I think I'm just being, and then I realize I'm being a plan. Like,
planning.
You're back to planning again. Like, you're back to trying to get it how you want it. Like, you know, so I get it. And I think that is a beautiful thing to just point out to people, and something beautiful with even wrapping up this series and about it being Love Month, and remembering, like, love your purpose, and your purpose is who you are. Like, literally who you are. So take the time, though, the way we do gratitude, and we start off with saying what we're thankful for and all those different things, and all of that will help you in just being and being present. And that's,
I was also gonna add, like, in being, we need to steward. And I think a lot of people think what they're stewarding is what they are, what their purpose is, but what you're stewarding is actually something that you're borrowing, a gift that you're borrowing, that you might eventually have to give it back. You know what I mean? Like, when I think about singing, I think about all the good things you do. Ariel, when you sing, you make things shift. You make the atmosphere shift. But even if you can't sing, even if for some reason maybe you get a cold and your voice goes away, even in that weekend, you still had that, like, thing to steward, and you stewarded it so well. But God, it might give you something else to steward in that time. Maybe God will give you, a desire for cooking. And you were stewarding your singing abilities, but now you're stewarding your cooking abilities. And that's how I think about You Hustle too. It's like, I founded this tech company, but it's not mine. I knew from the very beginning that God gave me this company. God gave me this idea. God is allowing me to steward that idea and to be the leader of this idea. But if God one day tells me I need to step down and allow this person to lead, that's what I'm gonna have to do. Because You Hustle, and that's one thing that I thought before with like everything that I was planning. If I plan this, then it's mine. Like no one can take it away from me. But God, even with the pandemic, showed us I can take it away from you.
Yeah.
I can. So even if God says to me one day, you need to step down from You Hustle and you need to go to Haiti and you need to be a missionary, yes, it will hurt because I loved what I was stewarding, but I have to realize it's not who I am, and it's not like mine. God is allowing me to experience it, but it's not mine. Because it's, if we think about it, it's, if God allowed it to come to earth and to cultivate in the earth, then there has to be a greater purpose other than to benefit Christy. It has to benefit multiple people. I have a vision for it, and God continues to give me a vision for it. But if he says, okay, I'm no longer, the vision I give you for it has ended here, and someone else needs to step up and continue the vision and take into a new direction, who am I to stop whatever God put on this earth and whatever God has allowed to cultivate and to be on this earth? Because I am prideful and I want to be the leader and I want to be the CEO and I want to, who am I? It's supposed to impact people. So when you think about it in such a prideful way that I need to hold on to this gift and I need to make sure I'm the leader and people know my name, then you're no longer impacting people. That's not the goal of it anymore. It's to impact you. And that's the real thing. But like, I want to leave the earth so empty because I've impacted so many people. So if God tells me I can no longer impact in this space and I need to go to another space, I'm going to go there, because my goal is not to be rich, successful, and famous. It's to impact. That's my goal. It's to impact. So that's what I think, like, people need to recognize, like, yeah, you're doing some great thing. God gave you some great skill, some great ability, but it's your job to steward that ability. Like, you can use, Ariel, you can use your singing abilities to sing, evil things, mean things, but you're using your singing ability to, like, you're literally healing people with your singing. Even if you're not even singing like gospel songs, when you're singing, because you're putting all your heart and your love into it, people get healed by hearing your voice. You're stewarding that gift so well, Ariel. Like, that's how I want to do it. I don't know how to sing, you know what I mean? But I do know how to build companies. I am an entrepreneur naturally, so I'm gonna steward that ability to do good things. Yeah.
Wow. And listen, you may not be a singer, but when I tell you you're like poetic flow, so you're still a creative. And I honestly believe, I will say it right now, that true entrepreneurs have to be creatives, because you have to be able to see what's not there and create something out of it.
Yeah.
And so, you have that ability. It's the same with singing. You have to be able to take notes that literally aren't there until you string them together. And create something. And so it's the same with you. And so it may not be singing, but you are super creative, and you're such a creative. And to be able to do that, because as you were even explaining even more, like, I've heard you pitch You Hustle before, but now, like, it makes even more, like, so much more sense to me. And I'm like, it has to take a creative brain to come up with that, to be able to put that together, because who could do that? Who could string that together? And so I want to thank you, Christy, so much for just coming on and being a part of this episode. I know it is no coincidence that you are our wrap-up person, because again, like I said, it's not so much that we're wrapping the series. Like, yes, we're wrapping the series, but it's more of a hope. of where we're going. And the fact that you are the ender shows like where we're going and what we're doing. And literally, as I was thinking about you being on this episode and thinking about you, I just kept thinking about Dr. Seuss's book, Oh, the Places You'll Go, and how I truly believe that you are gonna go far. And like you said, because your heart is open and because you're the type of person that is like, oh, okay, so, wherever you want to go, God, whatever you want to do, whatever we're doing, we're moving, we're grooving, we're doing this. Like, God loves that. He loves it so much, and he is going to honor it. And I'm telling you, I can't even begin to speak on where God is going to take you, because he's going to take you far. And so that even when, like you said, when he says, okay, it's time for you to give up, you hustle, because you're now past that phase of your life. It's time for you to give that on. That it's because what's to come is so much bigger, so much better than just that. And so the fact that you already know and see that this is not me, it's what God gave me to steward. Like, I'm telling you, you're about to go some amazing places. And I'm so glad you said yes. I'm so glad we got to be your first podcast interview, because this is not going to be the only one. So now I get to say, I got bragging rights. Like, you heard her here first on Good Morning Love. So when you all see her on Forbes magazine and all these other different things, just know she got her start right here on Good Morning Love.
Thank you, Ariel.
Yes.
Thank you, viewers. It was so nice being here.
Yes. And so everyone, we will be back next week with another episode. I cannot tell you what's to come next week. You just got to tune in and be prepared. But it's going to be good, as you can see, because it's been amazing. Didn't I tell you guys at the beginning of the season, like, you want to tune into this, you want to check it out. We're going places. I know that this is just the beginning. This is just a taste of what is to come with this podcast. So tell people, tell a friend, let a friend know to let a friend know, because you want to get in on this really on the ground level. And we'll talk a little bit more about why I did air quotes with that next week when I say ground level, but it still is the ground level. You can get in and you could be able to say, I was a day one person. So with that is it. Again, Christy, thank you so much. And we will see you all later. Bye. That's all for now on Good Morning Love. You can continue talking with me on Instagram at Ariel Chanel or on Facebook at Ariel Chanel Music. Let me know what you think. And until next time, remember, always wake up with love.